Welcome to the Dabbling with Daba podcast, a production of the Owen Sound Alliance Church. In our final episode of the season, Deb and Rebekah are joined by Mike and Nikki. We hear a bit about their respective backstories and how and why, ultimately, they found themselves in Senegal. We also learn about the reverse mission trip idea and why it can be a good approach. So pack your bags. It's time to dabble.
Well, welcome, Mike and Nikki, to Dabbling with Daba podcast. We're so happy this could work on Zoom and everything.
Very excited to see you.
Very excited.
Yes.
You see, you got the nice breeze coming in, and looks like you're living.
You do.
Living
It looks
luxury.
warm there.
Yeah, we're excited to be here. Sort of here. Happy to join you guys. And it is starting to cool down. We were into the 40s today, so we're happy for a bit of a cool breeze.
Oh,
Wow.
oh, I'm a little envious. I'm just saying. I'm a little chilly. Got the scarf, everything, right? So we're.
Well, I guess with that hot weather, some of our questions, our first question is, what do you miss most about Canada? It can be like a restaurant or a tradition, whatever. What do you miss most about Canada?
Well, I mean, the obvious answer is friends and family. I think that's the thing that you can't really replace are those relationships. You can find a new favorite restaurant, you can find new favorite pastimes, but just being able to spend time, especially for our kids, with their cousins. Today is actually a birthday in our family for my niece, so missing those sort of things, that's something that we miss for sure.
Yeah, on the lighter side of things, definitely missing, some Tim Hortons donuts or something like that, or even being able to watch hockey in at a good time of day.
Hockey fan. You have soccer there, though. You don't need hockey.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we should be watching a Champions League game right now, but,
And if you were to come home, what will you miss most about Senegal?
The beach.
Yeah.
That's a real lifeline for our family to be able to spend time.
Yeah.
Along the ocean. We probably go a couple times a month to a beach that's about a little less than an hour from our house, and that's truly where our family recharges from full weeks and ministry things and cross-cultural life. That's a real oasis for us.
Yeah, and probably getting some late night DB is one of the things that we'll miss too. I'm sure you guys were missing
that. We do miss that.
Yeah.
Just for those that don't know, DB is our style of barbecue here. It's chicken or sometimes sheep. If you can find a Catholic place, you might get pork. But they kind of smoke it, cook it over an open fire, and then wrap it up in an old cement bag, and it just marinates in all kinds of good juices.
The cement bag did happen for us.
It did.
We did get that experience.
Yep, that was fun. And I did go into that DB place and experience the heat of the oven. It was wonderful, So now, Mike, I have a question for you. So you went to school in Senegal. I don't know how much other time you actually spent in Senegal. But then your choice, if I understand correctly from conversations we had while we were there, your choice was you were going back to Senegal. That was going to be your life's choice, to go back to mission work in Senegal. Why still Senegal? Why not somewhere else?
I would say Senegal was our top pick. It's not that we weren't open to following God's calling if that was elsewhere. But obviously, I still have a love for this country, for the people that are here, and the fact that our Canadian Alliance team was growing close to the time when we were looking at coming over here. It was a pretty good indication that this would be a good landing spot for us. It didn't hurt that my parents were also serving here, so that's a plus too, to be able to come and serve alongside of them. So it just seemed like there was a number of different things that were leading us towards Senegal. And so we started exploring that as our first option, and God just continued to open door after door for us to come here and work here. So that's kind of how we got here.
So did you find that having lived there for an amount of time, was it easier for you in going there to start your missional life, so to speak? Was it easier for you than maybe starting off somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there were a few things that familiarity made it a little bit easier. Um, then again, when I was here as a student, I was a kid and I was thinking about kid things, going to the beach and buying soccer jerseys and playing soccer. Um, Coming here as an adult with a family is a whole different reality and a whole different mindset that you have to bring. You're looking at providing, getting groceries and all those kind of things that never once crossed my mind as a kid. So it was very different coming back. But I'm sure there were some things that made it easier as well.
So locally, in coming back, it would have been different people locally or the same people? Would you have met the same people in coming back as when you were in school, like people who would recognize you and go, hey, I know you? Does that make it easier?
Yeah, certainly. Especially when we were in Dakar, there were people that I knew that I recognized from, the street that we used to live on when I was in the dorm. The owner of the little corner store boutique, I knew him pretty well, and he recognized me when I came back. So that was really cool to just catch up on that relationship and be able to introduce my family to him as well. And yeah, there were certainly others in the missionary community that I knew and that were here when I was a student. So being able to reconnect with them and serve alongside them was really cool too.
Well, that's really neat. Nikki, how did you feel about Senegal with Mike already knowing a fair bit of the culture? Was that a good thing for you?
Yeah, overall it was. I expected him to know a lot about the culture, but I think I was surprised at how much language that he knew even right away because we had a few French speaking friends when we were living in London, and Mike was always so shy to really talk with them in French. And he was like, I've forgotten everything. And we step off the plane, just even for our vision trip when we just had Todd 6 months old, and immediately Mike just turns and says to the attendant at the gate, like, we need our stroller. It was supposed to be waiting for us at the gate. And I was like, how do you know how to talk to this person in French? I've never heard you speak French. And he kind of said, like, as soon as he set foot back on Senegalese soil, it like resurfaced in his mind. And with all of the, grammatical errors that learning it as a kid. And so I was surprised by that. And there was definitely a temptation in the early days to be overly dependent on him because he could do so many things easier than me. And yeah, even just the first month, I remember just feeling like such a child. I was like, I can't turn on my own stove. I couldn't even like lock our doors properly because the locks were so complicated, and I wasn't driving myself anywhere at that time, and just really feeling like taking a huge step backwards in terms of independence. And it was really humbling. But I can only imagine if both of us were feeling that limited, I think it would have been an even rougher start. So the fact that he kind of was a few milestones ahead of me maybe let me have a chance to lean on him a bit more as I settled and adjusted, and then started to make progress in that same direction, just at a bit of a slower pace.
As a married couple, that is, you do lean on each other at different times for different things. So that's very powerful to hear that. That's very cool. So as a couple, you did your vision trip. When you do your vision trip, you're two individuals with two different sets of gifts. Do you do things separately or together? And you have a young family, so that all gets, added in there as a couple who is doing missions in Senegal. So is it a together? Is it you're kind of going two ways and then together?
It's honestly a little bit of both because you're right that we both have different skills and abilities, um, but we're also both working towards the same goal, kind of.
Okay.
So it's been really cool having worked, been in the workforce in Canada and having very different jobs and not having any overlap. And then we come here and all of a sudden now we're coworkers, but we're bouncing ideas off of each other. We're talking about what the best story is to share with our neighbors and um, just working together as co-laborers, which has been really, really cool. But then bringing in our different skills, there's areas that Nikki's been able to focus on more, and areas that I've been able to focus on more. Having the opportunity to go and do some soccer outreach, using the passion and skills that God has given me, just different strategies, but still working towards that same goal.
Yeah, it kind of just ebbs and flows with different seasons. I think in the early days, especially language study, we're not just coworkers, but we're classmates. It's the two of us sitting in our class with our teacher 2-on-1 for hours every week and kind of studying together or asking each other things, or one of us would be on the phone with somebody and we'll off, and then when we hang up, the other one would be like, "Well, I think you said that wrong."
We're not competitive at all.
Honestly, I think we had a bit of competition to start, and then we kind of kicked that before too long and sort of became more just cheerleaders for each other. And so those early days, the apprenticeship for sure, we were doing core training together, both working toward ordination. So really doing all the same assignments, all the same books we were reading, language study. And now that ministry is starting, we've probably been in separate directions more than ever before previously. But then anything in our neighborhood, we really try to do together or even do as a family. We drag the kids along for various things, and that complicates things sometimes, but the neighbors just really love to see us all together as a family. And we try
And I
to
ask
balance that.
how the kids feel about going out there. Like, as you say, you drag them out, that your words. So how do they feel about that? Like, how do they interact then?
Yeah, I think each one is different. In my experience, it goes best if I just bring one of them along with me, because then it's also a bit of a special thing that they get to go do with just one of us.
Yep.
Pascal is really good about it. He's the only one still at home, so he goes with me to a lot of my weekly stuff, especially with Mike working nearly full time these days at our new house, doing the finishing there, and Pascal just comes with me in the neighborhood and runs errands and goes everywhere. So he's pretty flexible. Todd and Ollie, it can be a challenge just with the language differences and also just the cultural differences of how kids play and interact here. So sometimes those visits can feel long to them, and we have to balance. Culturally, anytime you leave, it's seen as too soon. So sometimes we leave in a way that's seen as too soon, but for the sake of our kids. So it's always trying to balance what they need with being available to our neighbors.
I think that's a tough balance to keep sometimes. So that's good on you. I would have asked Nikki, for you in particular, what would be the difference? I'm assuming that younger you went on short-term missions. I'm only assuming. I don't know whether you went on a short-term mission. What is the difference between short-term mission and long-term mission? Like where
did it shift in your heart? Like, how did you know you were ready for long-term after a 2-week or short-term mission trip?
Yeah, so I would say I did have an opportunity to go to Mexico with the youth group, but it was certainly a good experience, but it wasn't really a pinnacle moment in terms of my calling to missions. I think my interest in missions actually started way before ever going on a missions trip, really back to Sunday school age, when people, including Mike's parents, would come and not just speak to the adults, but come down to the Sunday school classes and share about what they were doing, and really normalize the idea of being a missionary. If you'd asked me at 5 years old what I wanted to do, I think that's what I would have said. I want to be a missionary. And so it was really more a process for me of keeping that in the back of my mind and also wrestling through different callings that I felt God had put on my life, specifically in healthcare and speech language pathology, and not really understanding how those two could work together. And then, when Mike and I started dating during one of his home assignments when we were in the youth group, he was already very convinced of a calling to missions in the future. And that kind of brought that back up in my mind to something I had felt that interest in from a really young age, but wasn't really sure how to balance with other things that I felt God was calling me to do. But that really prompted a time of soul searching. So the shift didn't necessarily, the short-term missions trip wasn't an inciting incident, but it definitely helped bring some context to what living somewhere other than Canada would even look like. At that point, I hadn't traveled outside of Canada or the US. So it was just an opportunity to see another setting, to see some of the things that go along with developing countries, at least in that setting where we were. Poverty more apparent, not that there's not poverty in the Canadian context, but a little more in your face. And even just some of the landscape and businesses. I remember you commenting, you went on this trip as well during your home assignment. So very fresh from being in Senegal, and you just felt that it was similar in some appearance ways to life in Senegal. So it maybe gave me a bit of a glimpse of what the context would look like, more than really pushing me in that direction for the first time.
I think another pivotal point in our journey and your journey especially was when we came back from my younger brother's graduation. We split the cost of the tickets to come back to Senegal and to Congo, so you could see a little bit of where I grew up. But while we were in Senegal, you had the opportunity to talk with some other international workers, and they were asking you what you were studying in university, and you said speech pathology, and they were so eager for you to finish your studies and come back as a speech pathologist. And that was kind of one of the first times that you had been aware that that was something that could be used in a mission setting. And it was a really confirming moment for you that God was giving you not only a calling to missions and not only a calling to speech pathology, but maybe both of those for the same purpose.
Yeah, that's really neat. Yeah, it's awesome. He can take two passions and put them together, which is sweet.
So why a reverse mission trip? What does that mean?
Yeah, so the idea had kind of been in our heads for a while, challenging maybe some of the traditional approaches to short-term missions, where a team comes to accomplish a specific work task, to serve, possibly even to teach, to train, just the model where the visitors from the Western world are coming in as the experts, and blessing the people here with what they give to them. We wanted to sort of flip that on its head, which is why we use the term reverse, but the idea where people would come to our context as learners, come to receive training, to not necessarily with a specific project in mind, but really for their own growth, and to give the floor, the position of authority to the local believer here, and have them be the ones who are offering the training and the equipping to those who are then going to return. So yeah, the reasoning behind that, I mean, all too often we as Westerners find ourselves sitting in that position of expert, of teacher. And I think especially when we're talking about how to do ministry to Muslims, how to persevere under persecution, who better to teach on those topics and give testimony on those topics than someone who's living it in this context here. We also knew that there are a lot of ministries going on in Canada, specifically in Owen Sound, that have to do with newcomers and refugees, working with people from Muslim backgrounds. And so we thought this could be a really interesting opportunity for people involved in some ways in those relationships, in those ministries, to come and learn in this context here and then take what they'd learned back. So the reversal piece was central, but also extending the 10-day short-term experience to really be something that has a much longer impact. As a team, the 5 of you guys, along with us and Gary and Sharon, we had pre-trip calls, I think every 2 weeks for a couple months before the trip. And we've been doing post-trip follow-ups once a month. We're hoping to continue that really for about 6 months after the trip in November. So continuing toward this summer. So those were the 2 biggest changes we had in mind with this trip, kind of flipping who's in the position of teacher and expert, as well as making the most out of the time and having it be pre and post follow-up and extensions to regular life in Canada.
Yeah, I think a big part of this trip was we wanted it to be equipping for you guys to then go back to the ministries that you're volunteering in, the places that you're already engaging missionally, even in Owen Sound, just to hear a little bit of perspective, to hear what it's like to follow Christ in a Muslim country, just to give you a broader understanding of what maybe some of the people that you're ministering to might be going through, might be thinking, some of the things that they're wrestling with.
So in terms of us coming back, and we are doing those the post-trip kind of debriefs in a way. So for, a 5-month, 6-month period, you get to hear, some of the things we are doing. I guess my hope is that it continues, but how do you get that feedback that it does continue, that this is something that lives on, that the impact is way more than just that 5 and 6 months that we do post-trip, right? How do we get to let you know that the impact is still alive?
I think there's a few ways. You guys, the 5 of you, are really representing a much larger group, the entire church body at OSAC. You're sort of a conduit between us and the congregation of sharing our story and sharing about what you saw firsthand. We always notice once someone has been here, I think you kind of leave a piece of your heart here and you just feel so much more invested because you've seen it. And your ability to talk with other people in the congregation about if we come up in terms of a prayer request on a Sunday morning, or if we're doing a different ministry fundraiser down the road. I think you guys, the people who've been on this trip, are some of the most equipped people to sort of answer questions in conversation among the people in the church of what's this really about, or what did you think when you were there about this? So that's one way that I think the effect of this trip continues on. I think as well, the opportunities for people to continue to follow along with us, whether that's through our monthly email updates, different prayer initiatives that we do. We're always trying to look for ways to really engage people, inform people on how to pray for the work here. So that's a way that we can see that continuing follow-up. And then on our end, I mean, a big piece of this trip beside the reverse mission trip piece was really a pastoral care and encouragement trip. And I would say, Ryan was integral to that, but each of you played a big part in just tending to our souls here in a pastoral sense. And we've seen over and over again how key that is to longevity here. People really tend to languish or burn out or get discouraged when they don't feel supported by people in churches back home. So a real long-term effect of this trip and these sorts of trips is just our own well-being and how we feel tended for, how we can continue to persevere in what we're doing, because we know we have people that will check in with us, people that are praying for us in really informed ways. So that to me is a huge piece of this trip that's invaluable to us.
And I think just the way that we can continue to track this even beyond the 6 months in our calls, is just when we hear about and we see your guys' involvement in ministry, whether that's on a volunteer basis or down the road, if you feel a calling into more vocational ministry, we see this as just another step along the path that God is calling you as you continue to follow him and just be obedient to the opportunities that he's placing before you guys. But it's really encouraging for us to know that, we get to participate with you guys on your journey in your growth. And see you guys continue to serve God in whatever way he's calling you.
Yeah, you guys kind of mentioned how we met beforehand on Zoom and we talked about things. And I know for myself, and it was, all of our first times going to Africa, you guys really helped us feel prepared and gave us advice. What advice would you give to people who are considering doing a mission trip for the first time? How would you prepare them, or advice you would give them?
Come and see.
Good encouragement.
That's it. Just come and see. No further prep needed.
Plain and simple.
It's interesting because I'm doing a Bible study with some nursing students and the guys, and one of the things that we're just walking through the life of Christ, and the first call that Jesus gives to the guys that become his disciples is just simply come and see. And that's all we want, is for people to come and see what God is doing. And when we're here and we're meeting with people on the street, we want to invite them to come and see who Jesus is. So it's really cool to have opportunity for people to come and see what God is doing and see how God stirs in their hearts as well.
Yeah, I love that.
That's great. And not to detract from that very forward invitation, but I would also say for people who are really considering it, I'd say one extremely practical thing you can do in the meantime, because even if there's a longing in your heart or a curiosity about missions, there's not always an opportunity for a missions trip, directly in front of you, imminently. So it might be something that's months or even years out from being a reality. But in the meantime, just think about how you're engaging in your own context missionally. That could be within the church, that could be in the community. I think particularly if you have an opportunity to engage cross-culturally right where you are, whether that's with a neighbor who, we've got, I think it's about 25% of Canadians are born outside of Canada now. So Owen Sound's not completely representative of that demographic, but increasingly it is. So maybe it's a neighbor who has family from another place. Maybe it's newcomers or refugees. There's lots of ministry opportunities there. Maybe it's just learning from somebody who's traveled a lot. Or I think the more you can broaden yourself to those cross-cultural experiences and mindsets, the more you'll be equipped to really get the most out of your time. Because 1 or 2 weeks is really short, and everyone experiences the realities of culture shock. But I think if you've never had much interaction with somebody who's not very culturally homogenous to you, you might spend a lot of those early days just kind of reeling and not even knowing where to start. But if you've had a little more exposure, a little more conversation, tried a few foods that are outside of your comfort zone, sat kind of on the fringe of a conversation that's not in English, talked to someone with a thick accent, all those things are preparatory for your first immersive cross-cultural experience, and will probably just increase your anticipation and appreciation of just the adventure of stepping outside of your comfort zone. that's a practical idea I would give to someone who wants one day or is considering doing something cross-culturally. Start where you're at.
So if they're really into it, they can go with Mike's option. If they're a little more shy, go with Nikki's option.
Both are good.
That's great. When you guys have, I guess, teams in the future, what are certain things you're going to help to encourage the dynamics of the team or build good teamwork with them?
Mandatory health screeners 2 weeks out to make sure there's no latent kidney stones in the pipes would be a good one.
Don't get us all scared right before the trip.
Yeah.
We might have to do some testing to see how much watermelon you can put down in one sitting.
Deb shocked us. Daba came in strong with that one.
Shocking. I know. What do you look for in a team?
I think it certainly can depend on what the goal is and what the purpose of the trip is. If somebody wants to come out in the next couple months and help me, build some cabinets or tile some rooms of our house, you're more than welcome.
That's a come and see
that's
moment.
a shout out to whoever's interested.
If it's more of another reverse missions trip idea or something along those lines, one of the things that we were intentional about when selecting this last team was we were looking for people that were already involved at the church and specifically more involved in cross-cultural ministry at the church. So we thought of you, Tim and Deb. We thought of you with your neighbors and how openly you are pursuing those relationships, those cross-cultural relationships, and trying to develop those and looking for opportunities to share and have spiritual conversations with them. We thought of you, Kai and Rebekah, and just, volunteering in the ESL program and helping out at the Red Door. Those were things that drew us to push you guys a little bit further and say, hey, what do you think? Would you be open to coming on this trip?
Yeah, I'll say originally it was just an open invitation, and I think it's healthy when trips can operate that way because there's no way for us to know what God is putting on somebody's heart somewhere in the congregation who maybe we've never even met. And so just as God would have it, nobody, or we had a very little interest in that first kind of open invitation and decided to put out some specific invites to people who were on our hearts. So I think in the future, whoever is feeling that calling is if they see a video or a missions meeting, I would just encourage them to follow up on that, to reach out to us. You can always ask for more information in a non-committal way. One thing we were intentional as well on this trip that we really enjoyed was just the intergenerational piece. It was really fun to have people younger than us and older than us in similar stages of ministry, in very different stages. I think it strengthened the team. It brought a lot of different perspectives. I know for me, it was fun to have ladies on the trip, just by virtue of some pastoral visits we'd had previously. I just had 2 different visits where there were just men on the trip. And so there were lots of things that I'm involved in that weren't as easy for them to come and see. So I enjoyed the diversity on our team. And yeah, I think just the posture of a learner is so critical. You're going to come and you're going to be really kind of, like I said, in my early experience, reduced to helplessness in some ways of you got to be driven around. You got to have someone talk for you a lot of the time, show you where to go, what to eat, how to eat it, what to wear, tie your head wrap for you, all those things. And some people would really struggle with that kind of dependency. And other people just embrace it so humbly and so openly, as both of you ladies did, in just whatever I said, you were happy to do it. And that is entirely affects the atmosphere of the trip. And the more we can have people who just come with that posture, who don't necessarily come with a certain set of skills, but just come to learn and to experience and walk alongside people. That's the biggest thing for me.
That's the come and see.
That's the come and see. Yeah.
That's the come and see. Yep.
We were talking earlier about some questions to ask you guys, and we were then started thinking about like superheroes and which superheroes you guys were, or like your secret ability that was like a super secret ability.
A superpower.
A superpower. A secret superpower. Anyways, we would love to know what you thought ours were, but just like really chill ones. Mike, we came up with that. You were just like super chill. We called you chill man, like relaxed in every situation. It could be like I was feeling so stressed and I look over and Mike's just like hanging out, hands in his pockets.
My granddaughter would call that chiaxing.
You were just chiaxing the whole
Chilling and
time.
relaxing, chiaxing. It's a new word for you. Yeah, I don't know if you can incorporate it, but that was
There's a Wolof word for it. We're not sure, but that's who we thought Mike was. Do you guys, this is really on the spot, could you give us a brief chill one for us?
And like,
Yeah,
I mean, I want to hear mine after, but
Of course you do.
oh, let me see. I mean, when I think of you guys, I think of if there's any sort of like paired superhero. I mean, I'm thinking like Powerpuff Girls has the three, but if there's like a double, because you guys just went hand in hand so well. It's amazing to me that you didn't really know each other before this trip super well. Is that right?
No.
Because you gave off the vibe of like longtime friends and just really played to each other's strengths. And it was cool just to watch you be there for each other, kind of teasing each other and also I think pushing each other. I imagine you tried to say a little bit more, tried to taste a little bit more than maybe you otherwise would have if it was just you as the new person alongside of me, for example, doing different things. You were both new and you both were kind of like, well, I'll try if you try. And there wasn't really a leader and sidekick kind of element. It was really a partnership. It was cool to see. So I don't know, the dynamic duo, maybe something along those lines.
Ooh, I like it.
Yep, I can live with that one. Thank you.
Quickly throw in Kai, Ryan, and Tim's.
Well, okay, our kids still call Tim Cheese Man. That name came about early on, and I wasn't even there for the original joke, but Pascal will see a picture on my phone from the trip and go, "That's Cheese Man." So
That's great.
people come up with their own explanation behind that name.
Yeah, for me, Ryan is just like superhero language guy because any chance he got, he was just like
French
going
ability.
French, throwing in English, like just going back and forth seamlessly between the two. So props to him
Sleeper
for doing
cell.
that. Yeah,
French
that was
abilities,
pretty
yeah.
cool. And then Kai was just, I don't know, he's easy going with everything too, right? Like
He was your sidekick.
I was going to say chill man round two. That's great. That's great. Thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot like that. Nikki, we bounced so many ideas. We just came up with like everything girl for you. You handled the trip so well. You were like someone we could come to for literally anything.
Yep. We didn't need YouTube. We had Nikki.
Yeah. We were like, we can't put her in one category because you just filled them all, which was so fantastic.
Yeah.
So
I had a friend who used to call me Wiki Nikki, so maybe that's a
Wiki Nikki. There we
Nikki.
go.
Wow.
Okay, we'll use
kinda
hers.
cool.
We'll cut out the everything Nikki and go with Wiki
Well,
Nikki.
you can keep the everything, but the Wiki Nikki does work. It does work.
Well, thank you guys for coming on the podcast.
Yeah.
We loved getting to learn
We learned a little bit more,
which
was cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Jetta,
Do you guys want to do a quick little what's new in Senegal? Like a 5-second.
Yeah, I'm starting to work more with people who stutter. That's just been something God's put in front of me multiple times, and it's a real passion of mine that I've done previously in a Canadian context. And I just have this dream of maybe doing a community support group someday for people all facing that same challenge. So this is the really early stages of that, and it's daunting, it's exciting, it's challenging, but that's been a really exciting thing God's put in front of me just in these last few weeks.
And I would say with working at the house, more full time these last few weeks, we've also had opportunities to meet some of our new neighbors over in that side of the quartier, the neighborhood. So that's been really cool just to see God, already starting to open doors and bring some relationships to us, and just trusting Him to continue to guide and direct us in everything that we do.
Nice.
Fantastic. Well, thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us on
Bye,
Dabbling.
Mike and Nikki.
See ya.
Cut. That's the cut for the
Bye.
podcast.
So for the devotional piece of this podcast, we've been talking about a reverse mission trip, which often focuses on serving in a local, perhaps overlooked community rather than traveling internationally. Often we go into a mission trip with the mindset that we are bringing God to a place or fixing a problem. But the true spirit of service modeled by Jesus is not about exerting power or authority. It's about humbling ourselves, just as Christ did, and entering a community to serve alongside local believers, not above them. Mark 10:45 says, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." In Acts 1:8, "But you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth." And Acts 1:8 is a reminder that we are witnesses right where we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just thinking back to praise God moment on the trip for myself personally and maybe some other team. When we got there, the idea of the reverse mission trip was to go and hear about what the locals were doing in chess and Mike and Nikki's friends and how they were doing missions. And on our second day there, we got there like Saturday afternoon maybe, or Saturday night.
Yeah.
Then we woke up and went to church the next day. And even though I couldn't understand much of the service because it was in French, the service was all about what that church is doing in their community. And it was just like slide after slide. And they were doing what churches around them were doing. So it was just like full circle moment already on the second day of being there.
It was all these mission
trips, all different missions.
What people were doing here and here and here.
Yeah.
It was really
and
cool.
so local.
You're right.
And just like the church down the road was doing this ministry. And just, it was really cool to be kind of the idea of the reverse mission trip, getting to see it on day one, which...
God moment.
Yeah, God moment.
Yep. Santa Yala.
Santa Yala.
So, Rahoya,
Daba.
We have done a lot of revisiting in these last few episodes. We've talked about all sorts of things that
been so nice.
We did in Senegal, getting to Senegal, even after Senegal.
The food, the weather.
All sorts of things.
All sorts of things.
So now it's coming to an end.
I hate the end.
Yeah. Sometimes the end is all right, as long as we continue to go forward. And that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
To go forward.
Always.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure with you, Daba.
It's been really special, Rahoya. May we do this again sometime.
Round 2. Official cut. Final cut. All the cuts.
Cut.